here in the back in the garden where I broke down the fence and I go over it. There is life. There are plants. There is grass. They didn't get a manual. They all know what to do. They live their life. When you were young, you didn't know what to do. You just lived your life. You didn't read the manual. But you're conditioned to read the manual.
Hey guys, welcome to the Rational Optimization Podcast. My guest today is Eelco Roovers. He's my neighbor and an Ayurveda practitioner. This means, it's something similar to a doctor, but I think using like more Eastern methods. Also, he's a former dancer, I think ballet. I have to talk a little more about this with him, but in this episode we actually also talked about this. And before he was a dancer, he had a career as a biologist. What happened was that I told him my question of the Rational Optimization Podcast. The question, what is, all things considered, the most rational thing to do? And he told me, alias, this question, this is a dead end. You will never, just the formulation of this question is inherently flawed. There's already a mistake in there. So I was like, oh damn, please, let's talk about this. Because I want to be questioned. I want to find the right question. If my question is wrong, I want somebody to tell me that my question is wrong. So in this episode today, he told his story of how he went from biologist to dancer to now Ayurveda practitioner, but mainly the first part. And we were talking about happiness and if it's even possible to understand life and if it's even possible to be rational, just the thing, how to approach life. It was super interesting, a super different view from what I get from most of my friends, and I really enjoyed this conversation. Guys, enjoy.
So I read the book that you told me to read. So Ich und Du, I and Thou, by Martin Buber.
Yeah,
and I have some notes on it actually, maybe.
I quoted that. I said read that because it gives a different perspective on the question you asked. Because you came to me and you told me, well, I have a podcast and it's about what's the most rational to do.
Yeah.
And he gives quite a different perspective, not going from what is my best thing to do there, because he describes identity in a verb. It's a process. He starts explaining that there are two Grundwörter, die gesprochen werden können. Ich und du und ich und es.
So two basic words, I and you, I and thou.
Yeah. And that it's about a relation. So it's not about what is most rational for me to do towards an object, where when you ask the question, what would I do? What is the most rational to do? You objectify the whole world.
But why? Because if you search, like I tried to find I basically tried to find out how to live life. Like, what is the right way to live?
What?
And by this alone, I already objectify.
No, what he tries to point out is that it's a mutuality. So from the relation between Ich und Du comes something which is the essence through which you exist. There is no separate existence of an Ich which objectifies the things he looks at, because he says that's the relation me, it, ich und it, I und it. Then you understand what I mean with objectify. It becomes a thing. It's not a real living relation.
But okay, yeah. So he said, But he says that if I live in the I it mode, like in the so it's the way most people live, and also like in all people most of the time, because it's really hard to get into the I now. We really experience the other.
And he clarifies that in the I it mode, it's dead. You only can measure. You can measure reality, and the reality of existence is out of the equation then.
So only it's not real if you live in the.
Yeah, that's not reality. That's not the deeper reality of life. It is existing. It's an object. It's there. But the reality of life, and that's what I understood from your question, what's the best way to live life? Which is something different than what is the most rational thing to do. That's the question you asked. And I think behind it is, how can I live my life to the fullest extent? When do I touch life? When does it become alive? And in Ich und Du is one of the ways to describe that life is a relation. It's not an I and an object. That's why I said, well, read this, because it gives a different perspective on the question you ask.
So the rational search for what is the right thing to do, is different from searching for what is the right thing.
Within rationality, you start measuring what is the best to do.
Yeah.
So there is no life in that. It's dead, completely dead. It's practical, but it's dead. So that's my interpretation of what he tries to explain. Even he goes very deeply into how you could relate to art, because art is a thing. And then he says, well, there are two aspects of it. First of all, when you really go into that relation, you make the art piece alive. It's only dependent on if you really engage in it. So he calls it is een waagstuk. I don't know the English word of the German word, but you have to risk something, because you really have to take it in. Mm-hmm. And the moment you take it in, the object becomes alive. So that you also can do that, but that's within art. But when you put it outside yourself, then you get a relation from I with an object, and that's completely dead. You can measure it, you can do all kinds of things, but you don't touch life. You don't touch the deeper reality, which is the mystery of life, which can come to life when you really connect to the relationship.
Do you say, like, it is not possible to really understand, like, if I try to understand, like, in a rational way, in like a measuring way, and I try to reason about life, and I try to understand it this way,
that's a way to find out what life is about. But what will happen, you will bump your head, it will hurt, and then you will look elsewhere, because you can't completely predict and control life. It's impossible. Mm-hmm. So I was pointing out that the way you put the question, let's start in the beginning. Why do you put the question in this way? And what is the question a vehicle for? Because it's a vehicle for something different. It's an urge within yourself, because you come here in the kitchen and say, yeah, well, I want to live life to the fullest, and I want to take advantage of my opportunity.
I want to understand. Yeah.
Do you want to understand life, or do you want to live life to the fullest? So that's the first question we said. Well,
what does living life to the fullest mean? I want to.
Yeah.
I would like to live life in the right way, but I don't know if there is a right way or if there is like a works. My question is what like I have this amazing life in front of me, like or not this like I'm alive and this is like kind of special, but like I don't know, it's but
So how do you know it's special? Where do you derive it from?
okay, it's all I know. Like there's nothing.
There is no knowing. You don't know. You put the question. There is a not knowing, but there is something behind it, which is full of life. What is asking for the knowing? And what I want to point out is that the wanting to know life is a pitfall. That's something which is conditioned. We live in a society where we say, if you want knowing life is grasping life. And that's something which exists maybe for now 200 years, but never was here. And it has been never in history so extreme. Hey, so if we look at an Italian film, yeah, and you see this film, and a child is born, and everybody is joyous, and yes, everybody goes crazy, and it's nuts. But we're living life. That's the magic of life. We embrace the magic of life, and it lives itself. But nowadays we have infertilization, and we have a right to have a child. But that's not living life. That's having control about life. That's causing a lot of trauma and havoc on this earth. So if I go in that direction, being rational about it, then you see that what we call progress brings enormous catastrophes on this living world.
So the world developed in a way that we want to understand everything. We are more in the actually more in the I-it mode of or maybe just in general we try to over rationalize everything, and this is.
Yeah. So if you start at the beginning, you asked what is the most rational way to do, and because we met in the garden, I reacted on that. I said, well, is that the proper question to ask? And what I'm very interested in, what is behind it that this question is being put forward? Because that's much more interesting.
Why I asked this question?
Yeah, what makes you that you ask this question?
So I'm alive, and this is I don't know what this means, being alive. Like I'm born in this world, or like we all are, and we don't know the rules. We don't know. No, we don't know. Like we are like in this stadium of life, but we don't know what to do. Like there is no instruction that says this is what you should do in life, and I try to.
So what
I understand?
So,
yeah.
So life.
Yes.
So here in the back in the garden, where I broke down the fence and I go over it, there is life. There are plants, there's grass.
Yeah.
They didn't get manual. You all know what to do.
Yeah.
They live their life. When you were young, you didn't know what to do. You just lived your life. You didn't read the manual. But you're conditioned to read the manual. From day one, they start conditioning you that if you want to live life, you have to stick to rules, because life is dictated by rules. Okay. So that's already something which is a burden on you, and you try to find your way out of it. Because
so there is nothing, but isn't this searching for manual? Isn't this something like special? Like, of course, like the grass doesn't seek for manual, but the grass maybe can't think in the same way we do, and maybe this is like just something.
No, but it is being grass, and you're being human, so you're communicating with your fellow humans. You're communicating with the plants around you, and you find out what is your place in the whole universe. That's what you're looking for, to find your original place in the whole universe.
That's true, yeah.
Because that what you are is connected to everything in the universe, but that's not what's told to you. When the sun stops for one day, you're dead. So when the Albert Heijn stops, you just go on. Yeah? So the Albert Heijn is the sun is much more you than the Albert Heijn. Yeah?
Yeah.
So when the one part of this nature is taken away, the whole system falls apart. So you're intricately connected with all these parts.
With all the nature, yeah.
Yeah, but what you are learned in school, that you have to identify not with your spirit, which has the capacity to connect with all these things, feel all these energies, communicate with it, communicate with its fellow humans, and try to find out what is your place in this whole thing. Then you can develop from inside out. From day one, they tell you have a name. There are a lot of for example, in Eskimo community, and also the people who live in the Mongols, Mongolia.
Mongolia.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
And they live also, it's the same tribes as Eskimos, which is a curse, the word. You should call them
Inuits, yes.
For that, it's just in a word. It's commonly accepted that a child under 6 years doesn't really get a name and can't do anything wrong. They just are accepted the way they are. And slowly they start integrating. It's also easy, they have a lot of space, you can be angry and run for 100 kilometers, you have to come back. You can put a child on a horse and he says, well, find out how it works, because there is no traffic. But there is much more freedom to let the child discover what is my place. And maybe he goes with his father and chops some wood, and then he starts, how is it to carry the wood and make some fire, okay? Or sit next to my mother and see the things we eat and find out what is it, and find an intricate connection with my world from inside out. So from my source out. But what we do in Western society, you say you are something, and that's the point where you start. This something which you are, we give it a name. Oh, that's what I started talking with. I left. So even in these societies, they don't give the child a name until it's 6, because they say it's still a soul which tries to find its way, and it's stupid to fix it in a name. To fix it, you are that.
Stupid before you are 6 or in general?
They only give the name when they're 6. And we live in a society where we want children at 4 already to be measured how good they are in math, in language, and we go into a society where technology is more and more implemented into humans and into people. An example is to vaccinate children, which is, if you know a bit about it, the most stupid thing you can do. But we think, no, we have to do that. So we start organizing life through technology, which is measuring, which is technical, which is not bad, but we disregard the essence of what we really are. We are just like the grass, finding our way here in this universe. And I think your question originates from that. Though the question you ask me is already highly influenced by your thought, the way you have to think and have to perceive life. So that's that I reacted on. So I was interested, but where it comes from, and then I can feel you, and you have a lot of energy, and you want to shine, you want to connect your energy, and I think it's a pity if you ask the question, what is the most rational thing to do? Well, it's a very rational thing for a thing, if it wants to function at the best, to do this and this and this and this. But then you're a thing, and you're not a miracle which is discovering and is becoming conscious of itself in connection with other miracles.
So the question, the question, what is the most rational thing, is inherently flawed, because we as humans, it's just like, this is not the right question. It's already like influenced by the society. What about the question, how to live life? If this is how to live life?
Much more to the source. How to live life?
How to live life?
Okay. So, what happens if you ask yourself this question? If it doesn't have to be answered, but the question can be left alone. So, what happens in you is, how do I live life? How to live life? And
so wait, you asked me how I feel when I ask this question, or?
Yeah, what does it elicit when you ask this question to yourself?
I don't know. It's like more. I don't know. Like, this is like
the first thing when I connect with you, then I feel that you get stress in your head.
Stress in my head.
Yeah. Do you feel some electric bzzz in your head when you let just this question be in front of you? How to live life? The question itself elicits stress, and you can feel it inside your system.
Maybe yes. It's depends on what angle you go on the question. I don't go
to the angle. I just put the question here. How do I live life? If I put that question to me, and when I feel it, I get a physical reaction to the question. I can feel the question. The first thing I noticed, I can notice a sort of gasping, that it's hollow here in my chest, that I feel a fear comes up in here. Why? Because I think I have to answer this question. And in the question is not a possibility that I really don't know, but that I'm completely able and enthusiastic about connecting with life. I really want to connect, but I don't have a clue how to live life.
So it's a question that can't really be answered, or
One of my conclusions in searching how to find life, and I can tell things about my history, that with asking the question, you kill the mystery for what you're really looking for. And there's nothing wrong about it, because in bumping my nose and bumping my head, I find out, well, I have to look in another direction.
Yeah.
I can't find the answer for my question when I ask this question, and I even feel I don't feel comfortable having to answer this question. I have to, in a way, find. I'm just looking for the word now.
You can say it in German if you want. Or
yeah, in a way, I have to find a reason, as if I have to.
you have to question, and the question you have to find an answer.
Yeah,
like
I'm put on the spot. Yeah, you have to answer this question. You have to. I don't know the English word.
Mm-hmm.
If you said, "Why are you here? Why are you here?"
I don't know.
Give an answer.
Yeah.
Then you feel you have to I can't find it.
Yeah.
You have to justify why you're here.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have to justify it. And this question feels, I have to have an answer on this question. I have to justify. But when I look inside, I feel enthusiasm to connect to you and to hear from you and to talk together. And I'm glad I have a neighbor and we meet. And I want to be open to that, and I see the same openness to you. And I think from your side, and that makes me happy. So then we enjoy life. But why and how do we do that? I don't know. But for me, that's life. That's interesting.
So not overly trying to answer exactly how to live life, but just living, or is it?
So you have one direction in I don't know if it even accepted in science, but I don't think so. It's in philosophy. You have phenomenology, phenomenology, where you go about, well, welche Gestalt bringt es hervor? What do I experience?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe life is about what do I experience, and not about how I, whoever that may be, do the best of life. Because also there are a lot of pitfalls in the modern way of thinking. So one of the pitfalls is the I. So we all go about that, we think there is some I, some identity, which is a fixed identity. And whole society is very busy in fixing this identity. You get a role, you get a job, you get whatever, you get thousands of labels. When you don't feel well, you get a label from the doctor, it's that disease.
Yeah.
And you have to take that pill.
Yeah.
It's...
But what is wrong about having an identity?
There is nothing wrong about having an identity, but there is, I think, the perception of having a fixed identity is a wrong perception. So I see it within the context of, so I study Ayurveda, so you know that on the podcast now.
Yeah.
And Ayurveda comes from Samkhya philosophy, and Samkhya philosophy describes how life gets its form, and in one of the ways life gets its form, experience forms, is through a function. It describes everything in functions, not in parts. Life doesn't exist from parts being, the wall is not all the bricks being put together. No, it's a process, an ongoing process. In this ongoing process, there is one process which they call ahamkara. And ahamkara is aham, is Adam, is breath, is life, is I, that what is alive, maker, kara, from kr, from karma, the I maker. So you have a function within yourself which has the capability to identify with something. But it's a function you as consciousness are experiencing. I can identify with something.
Yeah.
That's a function. It's not who I am. So,
Okay. So we
the
just
moment I ask the question, what is the best way for me to do in this world? I make for myself from what is in fact a process. I can become a clown, that I can become a father, that I can have a lot of identities, which is something which molds within the circumstances and age and the time of the day and how much I drink. It all influences that. So it's a very alive process. But when I fix it, then it becomes dead. And then we can go to Buber again and say from, oh wow, if I fix things in reality, then I lose connection with the reality. Because the real life is within an I-you relation and not an I-it relation, because that becomes dead. There is no life in that. So the question you asked yourself came from, my life wants to expand, but it's from life where the question comes. But wow, I think, how can you keep this life alive? How can it stay sparkling and connecting and that you don't know, but if you are naked under the waterfall and you're in Nicaragua and you're standing there, you feel alive. You don't know anything. You can also be very depressed when you're standing there, when you thought that you had to be very happy, and you traveled all this way because you had a depression. You hoped the depression would go away. Then you're objectifying you, and then you're under the waterfall, and then you're not happy. But when you're there in that, you feel alive. The same moment when you accept that when you shit in the morning, it's very pleasant, and you can feel it through all your life. In all your body, you feel, wow, it's ecstatic. It's very nice to shit. It's a very good feeling. How big is the trauma all the children can have when they are like animals taught to shit on the potje and not to enjoy that moment. That is never addressed. But what is addressed, that when you shit, that it's dirty and that you have to clean it up and then it stinks and all negative things. But a simple thing as shitting, it's pure joy. We never talk about that. That's life. That is phenomenology.
So it's not about understanding anything. It's just about experiencing.
Experiencing. That's why you touch life, and within that, the process of identifying something, and that's in that moment, and then being free of it again, and then identifying something new and being free of it. So,
what do you mean by I don't understand.
So now I sit next to you. Yeah. We sit together, and I see, hey, that's Elias.
Yeah.
But I can also let go. But I can still tap into the magic. But who is he really? But when I fix you, oh, it's Elias, it's a student from next door, and it's not of my generation, so not interesting. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
So, but I still can see, oh, you're Elias, so our mind is able to discern things, and at the same time become things, connect completely with things, and these two processes of discerning and connecting they are like a dance. Like when you see the sun coming up, yeah, and then you see, oh, the sun is coming up, and then you feel, wow, I'm really touched by this moment. But then the sun is a bit higher up, and to a certain extent you can move with it. But if you say, well, it's a pity that it's not there where it was, because that was the real big moment, and then you start longing for that real big moment, and the moment now you miss it because you fixed the other moment and said, my feeling is connected with this moment. No, the art of living is that you can see things, comprehend it, and let go at the same time. So these two capacities we all have, we do all the time. But we live in a society where one side is overly judged. And things are fixed in things. So when there is the connection between Ich und Du, there is the experience of I and the experience of you. But that comes really to life when we start connecting. But that doesn't say that you vanish. No, it can become alive. And I can see you again and again, like in a good marriage, where you marry somebody when she's 26, and you see her and you say, I love her. But when she is 56, that woman is not there anymore. But if you have moved with it, then you still love her. But now you see, you can still make the connection alive. But if you fix it, then you say, well, I love this woman of 26, but it's gone when she's 56. So I have to marry again with a woman of 26. There are a lot of men doing that. And they miss the essence of life. But the essence of life is the capacity to flow with reality. And that doesn't say that there are no fixed things, yes, but you have to be able to flow with it.
So, okay, I can see if I understand, because I think I don't know if I can even understand, but the thing. So we we try to the better way. Oh, can you say the better way to live? I don't know, but a way to live is to just experience the moment without judging it, and you. This is what you say, to experience the moment without judging it, and like experiencing the other person without being overly like in your head, or is it?
You could call it.
I don't know if I really understand. Yeah.
It's one of the functions which makes something discernible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the mistake is that when you discern something, that you call it reality, which is not like that, because there is another function where you become the other. Because all what I experience from you is in me. If I think you're pleasant, it's because I have a pleasant feeling inside of me. When I think you are awkward, it's because of an awkward feeling inside of me. But what I can do is connect with what is inside of me, and it can connect with you. But if I say you are separate from me, then I can also say, oh, you are awkward and I'm okay.
Okay.
So if you go out of the kitchen, yeah, I'm fine, because my awkwardness is gone, because Tobias is gone.
Elias.
And
Yeah.
Elias.
Yeah. Okay.
And Elias made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So then I'm not flowing with reality, I'm not connecting, but I'm managing my reality.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wait, I want to try again if I understand. So, basically, if you go really from the beginning, so we are experience, and this thing that we call I is just something that we experience.
We use it. It's real.
Yeah. And it's, but it's not I. It's not like.
It's not our ultimate identity.
Yeah. It's just one of the things we experience.
Yeah.
And to live life means to not get stuck in any of those functions, like for example in this I, but to just embrace being an experience and embrace experiencing the thing you just experienced. So is also connected with like not judging the thing you experience, or
it has lots to do with judging it, because when you judge it, you put it as an object within other objects, and then you can measure, and that's what judging is. It's my life is a bit less than his life, but a lot more than this life. Then you're judging. So then it has become an object.
So basically, you just you just are in this moment where you are an experience in a moment, and you just really experience in this moment without trying to understand everything, without trying to think, oh, this is good, this is bad, but just
you can try to understand it.
Yeah.
But don't fix it. So
what is the what do you mean? And
so that's what I try to explain with the two functions our consciousness has.
Mm-hmm.
So as well as that we can identify objects, we also experience the object at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So the moment I identify them, I separate myself from the object, because the object is outside of me. At the same time, I am the object.
But don't you, if you are experience of an I, and this I identifies an object, isn't this also just an experience? Like, what is the difference? What is the difference of experiencing an object or experiencing an I experiencing an object?
That's then your experience that is I. So I give an example.
Mm-hmm.
So I was also brought up in this society, and I had kindergarten, which I found horror, and then I had what is it? Preschool, then until I was on university studying biology, and then I thought, well, I get really unhappy from this. It was fun to study biology because then you walk in creeks and put around stones and find out what's under it, and slice up pigeons and sharks, and do things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I kept on doing that. But the whole system, I became very unhappy. So then I was 22. I never did sports, I never danced, and then I went into a dance class, and I felt, I become very happy from this. So then I said, well, I quit becoming a biologist, I become a dancer. So then I had, from a very deep ground, I want to be happy, which is part of my identity, but because happiness is part of your original identity.
So it's deeper than the I.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you look at yoga philosophy, and that the identity of God is, or the deepest being you are, is described as Sat Chit Anand.
Okay.
Which is just philosophy, which won't help you. Sat is zijn, Sat,
Yeah,
Sit, being.
Being, yeah.
Chit is the content of consciousness. Because every content is part of consciousness.
So, experience? Or...
Consciousness is experience. Yeah, you're experiencing.
Wait, is everything you experience consciousness, or is consciousness something you experience?
For every experience, there should be consciousness, because otherwise there can't be experience of something. Okay. So every object is only an object because it's perceived. When it's not perceived, there is no object.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I fully understand this, but you can keep... yeah.
And Ananda, which is bliss. Yeah?
Okay.
So, this is just philosophy, but very practical. You can see every human being, the ultimate thing they're striving for is happiness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Happiness is a very funny thing, eh? You can be in a situation where you think, now I should be very happy, and you can be so fucking miserable. Mm-hmm. And you can be in a very miserable situation, and at a certain point, you feel completely happy.
Yeah.
You feel, wow, I'm at peace with myself and I feel happy. Yeah. So you let go of the identification with the situation. You just look from it from the standpoint, from your real self. And that's where happiness is. So that's why all people are longing for being their real self. Which the quality is that you're happy, blissful.
So when you're happy, you are your real self? Is this...
Yeah. You can also turn it around. When you really for no reason happen, you're your real self.
What when it happens for a reason?
What?
What when it happens for a reason? Is there a difference?
When it's dependent on something. Yeah. Then
if I buy a new car and I'm really happy that I have a new car.
Yeah, then it becomes an achievement because you really have this new car, which is also part of who you really are, but it's seen through the lens of an identification with that you should be happy with a car, because having a car, I don't know, if in itself, it doesn't give any happiness. But the I is happy then for a short while. So
there's a difference between the I being happy and...
No, there is a difference between Ananda, which is just the background of being happy, because you can also, maybe you know the situation that you are very sad and you have to cry, and that you feel really happy in the background.
Well, yeah.
That you
100%. Like you're you're sad, but also it's like deep, like yeah.
It's a deeper feeling that I am who I am, and I really accept it. And
you just cry, but somehow
I feel alive.
Yeah.
It's
I know
much better than the situation where I couldn't cry and I'm stuck and I don't feel alive.
Yes.
Now I really feel pain, I really feel sorrow, but at the same time I feel alive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And then I call it. This is, I think, what they mean with this Ananda, this bliss, that you just are alive. So going back to the rephrasing of the question. So from this deep root, because I was talking about, I leave university, I become a dancer.
You become a dancer.
But there was something very deep inside, which I felt, that makes me happy. I go that direction. I didn't care a shit of if I would earn money with it or no, but I just wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And that made me very happy, because I was from inside out motivated to become a dancer. So then on the road you get a lot of things while being driven from that, like this grass. I'm grass. I'm just going to do grass. But yeah, then a rabbit steps on your head, and so you have to adjust. But you're connected with deeper inside, yeah. But part of it was that I also had to train my body and had to do things. My body had to provide that I can be a dancer.
Yes.
So a layer in between arrived, because I could already dance. The miracle was that I could sleep and dream, and then suddenly I would wake up, and then my bed cover was next to my bed, because in my dream I was doing a split grand jeté on the stage, and my leg went up and my bed cover went off.
Yeah, yeah.
So in my feeling I could already dance.
Yeah.
I knew what it is to dance. I knew what it is to be there and do that, and but I wanted to realize it. And to realize it, I needed my body to train. So then I had to train and to stretch and all these things. And then the fun thing is when you're a dancer, when you can do it and you have mastered it, then your body says, well, now we're getting older. You have to let go.
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, in flowering into giving the dance a form, at the same time I had to also to learn to let it go. So in big, I'm explaining what I said. Well, you can identify with things, but also you have to let it go. It's not by bad identifying with things, but it goes wrong when I identify with some things and I can measure things. I say I am a dancer, and it becomes very pitiful that this older man still says, I'm a dancer. Yes, I know. Look here, I have these
pictures
and show them to you.
Yeah.
I'm not alive anymore. That's the heating. I have to give food.
To food?
Yeah, I have to put pellets in it.
Okay.
My heating. My
okay.
heating. I give food to my heating.
Okay.
But it's okay.
No,
it can go.
Yeah.
Still.
Okay, yeah. So this is an example for identifying as something and also letting it go afterwards.
Yeah. Because from the source you get all these processes. The first process is what they say. First you have Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is personality, Purusha, person. Prakriti is manifestation. So they are together, because there has to be consciousness for a thing to be there. It goes together. So in the beginning there is no separation from the observer and the thing being observed.
When you're a child, or
no,
what do you mean?
When you're a child, when you're still with God, when you're still within unity, then there is no object. And then objects will
arise.
Yeah. And evolution starts. So first of all, what happens is what they call is buddhi. So there becomes a light. You can see things, you can discern things. And in the discernment, you become identified with something. And this identifying is a movement. It's not an object, but it is a movement. Because through identifying with me, I can talk with you.
Yeah.
So Samkhya philosophy describes how this whole process is a process. It's a live thing. And my deepest knowing is that I am conscious. I am there. I am here. I don't know how I did it, but I am here. I'm conscious.
Yeah.
And I feel I touched my deepest being of who I am when I'm happy.
Yeah.
When I'm standing in the river, I was on holiday for 1 month this year, and I lived 1 month next to a river.
Yeah.
And I experienced also becoming completely one with this water. Everything was moving as water. It was wonderful. I was gone. I became the river.
But you can't live like this all your life.
Yeah, I was there. And I at the same time, that's what I'm saying, the miracle is at the same time, I was there, but I experienced myself as becoming one with the water, and everything was flowing, and I looked around, and then the mountains started moving. Wow, even the mountains are like water. Everything became water, and I know I was standing on the bank of the river also. But in my experience, I became the water. I have the capacity to become what I experience, and not to measure my experience with all the other objects I see. I have the capacity to become what I see. So then when I was looking at the water and the mountains were moving, I was so touched. I was crying. I was so happy. I was crying, and I see, wow, this is a miracle. I have no idea what's going on. But it feels wow. I never felt, I felt the river, it was so alive. It was so strong. I was also afraid of, there was a river near the mountains.
Yeah.
And before I seen the same river far away. I could jump in it, but I didn't dare to jump in there because it was so strong. It would swipe me away.
Yeah.
And I was amazed about the strength of the river and the aliveness of the river. And when I saw it, I had this wonderful experience. And of course I saw myself. And then my attention was drawn to the stones, because I was also looking for stones, and I looked at the stones, and then I was very disappointed, because it was not like the river. I was not as happy there. I wanted this experience back. And then I caught myself. I thought, fuck, I'm doing it. I'm holding on my experience. And don't let my aliveness be equal with my new experience, which is just stupid stones. And then I looked at the stones, and then I started crying again. It happened again. I'm alive. I could experience life also in this experience.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I recognize. I have something sometimes when I think I remember like some days when I was still in Germany and I was like going for a walk outside, was thinking about life, and like I have really a lot of notes. I'm thinking a lot about life, sure. And I'm thinking, and I just can't get on, and then I just go outside and walk. I think it was like in the spring, and like I had this more often, but I remember like one moment, and I was walking, and I was like breathing, and like wow, it's like just like for me it was just that I can breathe, like the feeling of like air
going inside.
Just the fact that I can feel. And I was also crying. Like I was like standing there and like wow. And I have to sometimes like I can just I can just breathe, and I can really feel that it is amazing to be alive. And it's somehow it's really special to just feel, to just experience breathing, or just experience whatever, just experience shitting. Sorry.
And I think that part of life, which you said, can't be described. it can be experienced.
So no matter how rational you try to find this, you can...
You can't describe for me how you have to shit. That
Yeah.
is the best. It's an experience.
So this experience, you can't have it all the time. Like you can't, like there's no switch, so you always feel like this, right?
I think in the end you can have it all the time. Yeah. But in between are all the conditionings which make us, but that's maybe for the next talk, all the conditionings which makes us identify and objectify ourselves and our surroundings. So which is something which is, but I think that's better for next talk, very nicely described, for example, in the Bible, where the Garden of Eden, when do they have to leave the Garden of Eden? When they eat from the tree of knowledge. And it's not that they are sent away, but it's a story, which is not from the Bible, because the story is, the Sumerians also wrote it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not about the political organization church, but the story tells us that the moment we start to know reality, we leave the experience of reality, which is when you see it from the deeper side, then you are conscious and it's blissful.
Do you want to go on for like a little bit, or do you say it's like nearly 11 now?
No,
So
I
we
still
can-
have things to do and I
Okay.
have to get up tomorrow
Okay.
because I want to do my mindful walking.
Yeah. I want to maybe one day, if this, I don't know if you can do mindful walking together, or if you could,
Yeah, we can.
Sure, because I
we
would-
can do it together.
I would like to experience this.
Yeah.
If you, okay, I think, wait, I want to try to, for my mind, just one last time, I want to try to summarize a little bit what I think I have learned, or what I hope to have understood. So, you say that there is, so I am experience, and the I, so there is an experience, and I experience something I call I, and I experience a lot of other things, and through those things I can identify with, or I can identify things that I experience, but I can also experience them. So there are two, like, I can say, okay, this is my computer, and like really think about it, or I can really experience
The thing.
that there is some, without thinking that it's my
When
computer.
it's your computer, it gives a certain amount of security because it's your computer, it's not my computer. Or you can experience, there is just computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a different, but it's not. It's not that you always want to be. You don't always. The goal is not to always be in this. There is computer, but the goal is, or I don't know if you could call it the goal, but you flow between the two ways of experiencing, between saying, this is my computer and this is, I experience computer.
And it's enjoyable that it's my computer, but the moment you have to let go, that you can let go and that you don't cling to it. And what we learn in society, and which is very much made more important, is that we are an object within objects, and that we are managing all these. That's what technology does. So, and we go even to transhumanism, where we want to enhance our
Cognition, yeah.
are being with
Yeah.
technology, which is, in my opinion, utterly impossible, because the magic of being can't be enhanced through technology.
We have to also talk about this because I want to know why you believe this, because I think it's also maybe there are some nice opportunities in.
Sure, there are lots of opportunities. But that's what I call the wolf in sheep cloth, because of course it gives a new experience, and it is something which is evolving. I'm not against that, but to sell it as that it enhances my experiences of life, no, it can't, because it's dead. So it's the same thing that the 1,000 stories of the rich man who has everything in the world and still is not happy, and goes to Mullah Nasruddin and says, well, I want to be happy, and they tell me you're the only one who can tell me this. I have been to all the wise people and I'm still unhappy, but I have everything what I want. I have 20 wives, all the gold I want. I'm still unhappy. Please tell me how to become happy. And Mullah Nasruddin tells him, okay, then you have to come back tomorrow and you bring such a bag with gold. And I think, what? Huh? This is a fraud, this Nasruddin. He should be a wise man. Why is he asking for gold? So he goes home and he ponders about it all night, and the next thing he says, oh shit. I take my gold, I bring it to him, and yeah, I take my chance. Probably he's a fraud, but I take my chance. Why is he asking for gold? Yeah. So the next morning he goes to the little village where Nasruddin is living. He gives him the gold. Nasruddin takes it, looks him in the eye, and runs away. And he sits there completely baffled. And what? He was a fraud. Fuck. So he goes behind him, but it's the village of Nasruddin, so he knows all the little pathways. And each time he sees him, and then he runs, and then he's away again, and he's completely. I said, oh, I knew it. How could I? I have lived a life between all people, all handlers which wanted to fraud me, and I was the smartest one. I survived everything. Now I'm so old, and I get fucked by this stupid old Mullah Nasruddin, this poor guy. And he's really, really unhappy. And so he walks back to the middle of the town and sits there on the bench where he saw Nasruddin. And then Nasruddin comes walking to him and gives him the gold back and says, well, now you're happy.
That is a good...
It's just a fun
nice
story to think.
Okay.
So he didn't take anything, well, he didn't give him anything, but now he's very happy.
Yeah. That's true.
It's just a fun story.
Okay, Eelco, I really, really enjoy talking to you. I really want to do this again, and I would really like to do this mindful walking. And yeah. I don't know if I understand everything, and I will also bring my ideas, and we can talk about it. But I think there's something interesting I want to learn. Like there's maybe there's also the wrong way of saying it with learning, but
there's a very nice one from Rumi. This is also it's not on it. Yeah,
no, it's still on. Yeah. But it's like for me we can go on. But if you want to finish,
because you say I want to learn something, and Rumi says, well, you don't have to become love. The only task you have is to take all the obstacles away which are in the way of love. So it turns it around. So the question is, if you have to learn something, so I bring it back. Be careful what you wish for, because what we are learned to wish for is conditioning in this society, which makes people very unhappy.
Okay.
And there are lots of unhappy people. That's why you started studying psychology, and there is a lot of work.
This has been a Rational Optimization podcast. I hope you learned something. Guys, I made something cool. On my website, I made a list with my favorite episodes. So if you haven't listened to all the episodes that I already made and you want to know where to start, like there I listed like in the rank of how much I like them, all the episodes, and I regularly, like whenever there are new episodes that I really like, I update the list. The link is in the description. Enjoy.